Yo, what's good? It's Jeronimo Davis with E.R.R.U.P.T Management, and welcome to the Lava Lounge. I have a special guest with me today that's artist, actor, activist, Gunna Goes Global. Gunna, thank you for joining me today here in the Lava Lounge.
Definitely. My pleasure, but it's all good, man.
So,
Pleasure to meet you again.
I appreciate, we got to meet a couple months back now. It seems like forever. But I brought you here today because you play a key role in the new change in San Francisco Bay Area, which is the Bay Area where the Lava Lounge is filmed. And I want to talk today about a little bit about a history about yourself,
Definitely.
your roots within San Francisco, and then we'll lead into a few other things. So tell me a little bit about the history about yourself.
Born in San Francisco, General Hospital. Well, actually, Children's Hospital. My bad. I said General. I'm thinking about where I was when I got shot. I know, hella crazy, but I was born in Children's Hospital. I'm from Fillmore. My grandmother migrated to the Banneker Homes, which is in Fillmore. I would say around 73, 74. My parents met at City College, so had an opportunity not only to be raised there, but move in cities around there, but always been stationed in San Francisco. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Rooted there.
And yourself as an artist, tell me a little bit about your music artist career. How did you get started in that, number one? And how is that tied with you growing up in the city?
Well, I got started in music from watching my older brother. They used to rap over cassette tapes, instrumentals, actually Bone Thugs and Harmony. So this is back when I was a little kid. I was like, man, I want to rap. I want to rap. But I started taking it serious at the high school. And over the years, I've had the opportunity to start multitude of labels, help other careers throughout, San Francisco. That's from where I'm from. Certain people, artists from my block represent the city in the Bay. And honestly, this is like my third or fourth run at the music as far as, finishing what was started. So then I got here Sound Change Records,
Okay.
which is a label consisting of myself, a few other artists that, we'll speak on them when it's time for them to present their projects and shit like that.
Okay, for sure, for sure. So I want to bring up a little bit more about how your artistry, your being a music artist, led you into probably one of the I'm gonna guess one of the bigger things so far of your career is being in a movie called The Last Black Man in San Francisco, and it is a movie about basically what the title says. Tell me a little bit about how that came about, how that started.
So at one point in time, I would say in the 2000s, my music was extremely popular in the city and throughout the Bay Area all the way, I would say, far as Fresno, as far as SAC. From SAC to the Bay to Fresno. A lot of people listen to my music. And one of them happened to be an actor in the movie, The Last Black Man in San Francisco. His name is Jordan Gomes, but he goes by Stunner Man 02. So from what I was told, Stunner Man, he was on set. Well, not in set. He was pre-production. Hey, man, if y'all gonna do a movie about the city of San Francisco, Gunna need to be in it. You know what I'm saying? So he reaches out to me via IG like, hey, it's gonna be a casting director that tap in with you. And I'm gonna keep it real with you. I didn't really think nothing of it. You get DMs random all the time, whether it be music, whether it be a show, whether it be movies, you'll be surprised. And a lot of times you just like, one thing I do is I respond. If you serious, we'll know. The casting director reaches out to me. I'm still not really sold on it. I'm like, all right, he reached out to me. And he may have even reached out to me on Facebook if I'm not tripping. He may have reached out to me on 2 platforms because I think Facebook may have been a more professional route. And he was like, we're doing a movie. I was like, all right, that's cool. The last movie I seen in San Francisco that I actually liked was JT the Bigger Figure, Beware of Those. So this is back in the day. So that's what I'm thinking it's finna be. You feel me? I'm thinking it's finna be one director, one shooter, whatever. We just guerrilla shooting. And they asked me to come audition. And when we got there, it actually was similar to not this setting, but how it looks over there on the opposite side of the camera. Dudes was cool. One dude had just got out from doing time with literally one of my best friends. So they was in a cell, both innocent. He's here. My friend's still fighting or whatever. And our audition, we still didn't really think nothing of it because they didn't say, oh, hey, listen, we're doing a legit movie, a professional movie. It wasn't none of that. They had us read. We came in there. It was like, we'll contact you in like 2 months. All right, bro. It's good. lo and behold, when they tap in with us, we go through the logistics, you know, the legal aspect of it. And when we get to set, that's when we realize, like, oh shit, like this is a movie. Like theater, like, no, this ain't straight to DVD, this ain't straight, you know, press up and nah, this is a movie. So that was the shocker of it all, but I was humbled from the very beginning. And after I went over the script, I wanted to be involved because I wanted to represent the city of San Francisco in a different light. Oftentimes, it's only one community that's emphasized in San Francisco, and they don't even know that Black people exist. So I was just extremely honored and humbled to be a part of it prior to any awards, any talking of the movie, we didn't know who the distributor was going to be, just to be involved in it, man. I was excited.
So I want to go ahead and talk about, when you say how big it is, let's talk about a few of the people that happen to be in the movie that I'm sure that when you got to see those names that kind of stood out to you. One of them is another San Francisco native, which is Danny Glover. The other person who was, oh man, I can't think of the person's name right now.
What's my brother's name, man? He's huge.
Mike, of course,
Jonathan Majors.
Yeah. So I mean, you got these names in there. You got these names in there that are huge names, and
established, living legends, icons.
And those names are being used to represent a city that you love and you grew up in.
Yeah.
And what was that experience like, getting to interact with some of those people?
Danny Glover is like your grandfather. I've been around Danny Glover, I believe, twice. He's a San Francisco native, staple in the city. So whenever you run into Danny, if you from the city, of course, the initial starstruck is there, but he gonna bring you down to earth real quick, like, because he's not with none of that. He's not with none of that Hollywood or hey, listen, man, I appreciate you. You know, you want a picture, whatever we're gonna do, but we're gonna talk to each other on the same level. Tashina Arnold, being around her, like, growing up watching Martin, bruh, and to be around somebody that my parents respect, that was different. I ended up taking a picture with her, and usually I don't ask people to take pictures with people just because I don't want to infringe upon their privacy, and I know what it's like to be bombarded. But I was like, I got to get this for my mother. To be around Mike Epps, he was super humble, but it's another brother that I'm not mentioning. His name is Shadow. What's my man's name, man? Shadow Flocka, but one of the biggest actors on Netflix, man. Forgive me, he sat next to me. If you could look him up, man. I sat next to him for about the whole day. Didn't even know who this brother was, man. Humble dude from the East Coast, was talking to me about his collegiate career and stuff like that, I mean, going to college. Being next to him that day and not knowing him and that organic interaction, that was so big to me, man, because when I did find out who he was, I appreciated it even more. Just giving me raw gems about life, about Blackness, about the space, about what we got going on. Who else did you mention? You said Jonathan Majors, phenomenal actor. He never came out of character. So being around these people and this movie being about the city, bro, it was again, I continue to use the word humility because that's what it was. It was humble. It was humbling. Being around them, and it was good. All they gave you was love, respect, and positivity.
That sounds like an amazing experience. We're gonna show a quick trailer of the movie The Last Black Man in San Francisco. Make sure you go ahead and look it up for yourself on whatever streaming platform that you use to watch any movies.
Amazon Prime got it.
We built these ships, dredged these canals in the San Francisco they never knew existed. This is our home. You two stick together.
I always come back to the old house. What if it's empty? What if we just peeked inside?
We could throw parties. You could put on one of your plays. We could yell.
Kids his house.
Our old house.
That's not your old house and that's not your neighborhood.
Hey, if you're going to San Francisco, be sure to wear flowers in your hair.
Maybe he's right. What if we shouldn't be here?
Well, we should be here more.
Some millionaire?
To leave is not your loss. It's San Francisco.
I don't know how much longer we can keep doing this. But I'm not leaving. I'm the last one left. I'm with you, bro.
Man, I mean,
Yeah.
I definitely recommend everybody to go ahead and stream that movie and wherever it's available to you.
Shout out Rob Morgan too, man. He's a phenomenal person.
Okay, that's so looking at this movie, talking a little bit about your history being an artist in the city of San Francisco, and looking at the current state of the city now, and some of your efforts to reverse the gentrification within the city, where we're talking about, down to minuscule percentages of Black people living within the city limits of San Francisco. Tell me a little bit about that, how you got involved in that, and how you're able to use your voice to highlight it.
Well, I want to shout out 4HD. That's a collective that includes Jamal True Love, Stunner Man 02, and Dayanara Thompson. It actually, unfortunately, came about with the murder of Ahmaud Arbery. I believe I was returning from Atlanta. I had just had a recording session out there with Lit Sherm, and they had released the footage of Ahmaud Arbery being killed, but then it was actually George Floyd. And when George Floyd, I didn't watch the whole video. When that happened, Millie, he was just like, I call him Jamal True Love, Tim Millie. I told, Millie was like, man, we need to get involved. And I was like, that's already where my heart is at. And we came up with different ways to chip at racism, because people don't realize racism is in so many different sectors, all sectors of Black life, even down to the churches that we attend. When you see a picture of a white man, that's not Jesus. So when it comes to reverse gentrification, it's saying that we've got to positively target people who have been historically negatively targeted in San Francisco. The peak of Blackness was around 13 to 15%. So how do we reverse gentrification if people genuinely appreciate Black culture and the contributions that we've made to San Francisco? Well, what would need to be done is we would need housing, we would need land, or we would need a strategic plan to reintroduce us, because you don't move from San Francisco by choice. Yeah. You're not gonna talk to any Black people that are really from San Francisco that are gonna tell you, no, I don't wanna live in the city. They're gonna tell you, I can't afford to live there anymore. Or at one point in time, we were persuaded to leave. San Francisco is down to, they'll say 5%, some will say 4%. The majority of us believe is between 2 and 3%, 2.5 and 3% of Blackness. So for it to be a major metropolitan city, upwards of 1 million, it's between 800 and 900,000 people, but upwards towards 1 million, and that be the percentages of Black people in one of the top economies as far as a city revenue in the United States of America. It's terrible, but it's systematic. I'm very displeased with the politicians, and I'm not talking about the current mayor because she has inherited this problem. She didn't create it. I'm very displeased with those who came before her predecessors, and what people have allowed. Many people have said that, oh, San Francisco is liberal and San Francisco is this, but if it's so liberal, why has the Black population aggressively dwindled down to where it's on the brink of extinction right now?
So in those regards, what are some of the actions that you are hoping and you are fighting for that you feel, number one, music, the hip hop culture, the urban, if that's how the music industry needs to understand it more, understand it clearly, and the Black empowerment of your movement. How are you? What actions would you like to see come about to help further that?
Targeted housing. We need Black home ownership. We need people to be able to afford to stay in the city, to be able to have working wages. We need the minimum wage in San Francisco to be higher because the cost of living is higher. We need to positively target Black people because understand, we're only saying that because we've been negatively targeted. We're not talking about no favors.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? We're saying the same way that you wanted to come up with these evictions in this Section 8 and low income, the same way you swindle people out of these Victorian homes, all of this. Let's get to building and let's have some home ownership and let's value Black families in San Francisco because gentrification now has been globalized. But understand that the foundation of gentrification is San Francisco, meaning the experiment in modern times started in San Francisco. And that's why when you go to the top two most gentrified cities in the United States of America, it's San Francisco and then it's Oakland. So we want policies, we want economic funding for Black people, for Black home ownership. We want affordable housing built for Black people to be in. We want initiative taken by those who are paid by the people to right the wrongs of those who came before us. That's what it is. I'm no politician. I'm a person. Of course, that's self-explanatory, but this is for the professionals to get advice from those of us who have advice to give to them. So this is another thing. When it comes to the movement, when it comes to speaking up, oftentimes they don't realize this is not what I'm doing 25/8. You understand what I'm saying? I'm still an artist. I'm still an actor. I'm still a father. But that doesn't mean as an activist that I don't want to be involved. But you can't stretch me so thin to where it's like, oh, you got to dedicate all your time. I'm passionate about it, but you're not gonna rob me of my life. And too often they want Black people to be superheroes. So I gotta live my life. That's already a challenge within itself. I gotta fight racism. I still gotta be creative, be ambitious, have a dream, and still be happy without going crazy. No, we're not gonna do all that. So we're gonna balance it out. You feel me? So that's what I want to see.
Speaking from the heart, we talked a little bit before this. I'm born and raised in San Francisco. We're a few years apart. And we have some of the same and some different experiences. We even went to the same elementary school, which was a very unique setting. And I spent many years away from the city. And when I moved back, I experienced the shock of seeing a lack of my people in the parts of the city that I grew up in. We talked about growing up in Fillmore, growing up in Lakeview. Being a part of the city and how it used to be a neighborhood city. It used to be a neighborhood. It wasn't this metropolitan city. It wasn't this tech, robot that it's turned into. It was a neighborhood city that was represented by so many different cultures.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, we totally respected each other's
Filipino, Latino, Samoan. Cambodian.
Exactly.
This was all a part of your childhood.
It was all a part of the city. So as much as it is about the pushing out of Black people, it is about taking away the humanity also of a city and turning it into more of a machine.
Yeah, but look at COVID-19. Look at what happens when all of these people who don't care about the city have the option to leave now. You're seeing an exodus. Yeah. And if you think we're going to pay $7,000-8,000 a month for rent, we're not.
Not for the same place we know been there for 50
those apartments
years.
Can continue to stay vacant. So what people are going to have to do is put morals over money. And it may be hard, in a capitalist society, but people just need to do the right things. It's easy to sell the soul of a city when the seller is not attached to it. A lot of these people migrated here. They don't care about San Francisco
at all.
They never cared about San Francisco and they never will. So that's why they sold us to the highest bidder. when you look at it, it's a skeleton now. And when you look at COVID-19, people are leaving. Can it be revitalized with a few initiatives? There's a lot of things that can be done to reverse and relief can be brought throughout the Bay Area, because you see it's going on in Oakland. You see it's going on in Richmond.
Yeah.
You see it's going on at EPA. They said at one point in time, it was like,
100%.
they said, yeah, EPA was like 60, 70, whatever it is, the amount was damn near all
Yeah.
black. And now you go there, it may be 15%. Oakland is 25% black now, you know what I'm saying? As opposed to it being, I believe, over 50% at its peak. So when it comes to San Francisco, growing up in these communities, you know, candy houses, that was normal. You knew everybody. Your family was there. Families married other families, or you know, everybody was intertwined. And now you go places, and they're calling the police on you for being in black neighborhoods because you look suspicious. Yeah, so things got to be changed.
For the people who watch this, especially the people who may be in the Bay Area, where would you like to direct them? What would you like to tell them? Where would you like to send them to bring more attention and to get participation in not only people just, number one, hopefully seeing the movie, understanding a little bit about the content that we're talking about today, and then maybe understanding a little bit more about how a lot of this goes on in many other cities. So this can also represent, you know, people in many other cities across the country. But what would you want people to take away? How would you want them to get involved in a movement that you're also a part of?
4HD, I'm not sure what our handle is, but if you follow me at GunnaGoesGlobal on Instagram, I believe you will be able to find, I tag 4HD in a lot of my posts, especially in my reels. I want people to first identify what is it that you're passionate about when it comes to dismantling racism. Everybody's not going to be passionate about the same thing. With 4HD, you have the education element, you have gentrification, you have economics, you have tech, you have health, you have food, you have defunding the police, and then you have, it's one more. But there's 8 different sectors that we deal in within 4HD. My major is tech, my minor is economics. So my major is saying that we need black faces in tech spaces, and we're not talking about at the front desk. We're talking about software engineers. We're talking about app designers. We're talking about everything that you can think of. We need black people owning apps. We need to be involved in the future because tech is the future. My minor is economics. That means holding huge establishments such as the banks accountable for the rates at which they loan to us, and helping fund what they're talking about, they care about so much. So I would ask people who are watching this, what is it you're passionate about? Because some people may say, you know what? I know that education is the key to success. How can I help more black boys and girls? How can I help black people? You know what I mean? Because that's what this is. That's what we're talking about, racism against black people. We're not talking about favoritism. And I have to highlight that because so often people say, well, what about me? Listen, unless your people was enslaved, brung here on boats by force, and then had 200 to 300 years of being dehumanized on plantations with no generational wealth, not a dollar to their name, unless your people experienced Jim Crow, unless you could show me pictures of your people being hung off of trees for decades at a time, unless you could show me videos of your unarmed people being murdered for the color of their skin, we're not focusing on them right now. We're talking about relief for specific people who have been brutalized. I'm not talking about people who got on a plane over here. I'm not talking about people who came over here by choice and working for the low. I'm talking about people that worked here, that slaved here against their will for the free. You feel me? So find out what part of the problem you want to help attack, and then let the universe lead you. You feel me? Because racism isn't, even though we're talking about systemic racism against black people, this is holding back humanity. The quicker black people are not oppressed in this country, we can make America great for the first time. You understand? And we're going to look out for the Latino brothers and sisters. We're going to look out for our Asian brothers and sisters. We're going to look out for our Jewish brothers and sisters. You feel me? The Arabs and all that. Arabic people, the Arabs, Arabic, I apologize if I'm not saying it right. No disrespect. But right now we at the bottom. So the higher we are, the taller we stand up, the higher things get lifted up. So find out what you can do to help and understand that it's bigger than just police brutality. It's about me knowing that I'm smart enough to be in college, but I'm being denied access because of the high school that I go to. It's about me being in a school that's underfunded, not because it's not money in the school, but because they're saying, oh, it's only black people that go there, or the majority of black people go there. So instead of it being a 15-to-1 ratio with the students, let's have it 35-to-1. You know, racism is more than a person just being killed on camera by a police officer. It's deeper than that. So get involved. If you want to help humanity, if you want to help this country, then you need to find a way to dismantle this fuckery, because it's hijacking humanity. And that's real. For the white people that's watching this, hold your relatives accountable. Have them talks. Don't just come out there and protest with me, man. Holler at your daddy. You know your daddy's a sheriff and you know he's racist. Holler at your great uncle. You know he's a judge. You know what he out there doing on that bench. Hold your people accountable. Don't just celebrate black culture and black music and in my face and, oh, I listen to Travis Scott and I like Michael Jackson and Tupac. Listen, that's cool. But what about Jamal? What about Dominique? What about Keisha? You get what I'm saying? What about DeAndre? They need help too. And what I mean by help, more than anything, we need relief and we need to be left alone, because it's a lot that we can do. Tulsa, Oklahoma showed you what we can do. Y'all came and burnt our shit down. Fund black people. Don't try to oversee black people. So that's another thing. Don't get to donating money, bro, and then come with your white ideas. That's like me being a black man. How I'm gonna bring how as a black man, I'm gonna tell you how to be Irish. How I'm gonna tell you how to be Britain. Nah, I'm gonna help you and then let you do your thing. Leave us alone. IQ is high. We already built the pyramid, so we showed you what we can do when we left alone. You feel me? So give us some space. And all the allies out there, man, we need y'all to get active. Because since George Floyd, I've been extremely disappointed. And yeah, I see the protests. I've been a part of them, but what now? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you thinking a protest and a few pictures means you was a part of the movement like the civil rights, this ain't that.
Yeah.
You feel me?
Man, I want to, again, I want to say thank you for joining us here. This is a conversation, like I said, I wanted to have for everybody, not just for the city of San Francisco, for everybody that feels displaced from their home. And that's a lot of this is what that's about, whether it's displacement from our original home or displacement from your current home. And a lot of us are trying to find that way back.
Can I speak on
No, go ahead. Let's go ahead.
gentrification? Yes, when you just said that, it triggered something. So gentrification is coming. Gentrification is hitting cities all over the nation. And we need to understand that culture is pivotal. It's actually what separates our cities, our states, and our country from everything else. Right now, when you look at the United States of America, for the most part, it's the gumbo pot of the world. We need to see black and brown faces in these cities. We need black and brown culture in these cities. And I know that it's a capitalist society, but at some point in time in the very near future, morals has got to be put on top of that. I don't want to go to Houston and not see no black and brown people. I don't want to go to Harlem, even though it's too late. It's like Fillmore. I go there and we don't see no black people. White folks, when y'all come, man, leave y'all cafes where they at. We don't need your cafes, you feel me? And this is, I'm looking at the camera, white folks, bro, stop bringing y'all cafes everywhere and y'all bikes taking up people parking, bro. Like, that shit ain't fresh. Like, that's not cool, like, for real. So, just not for real, bro. And I know a lot of, like I said, you know, dealing, and this is another thing, it's not all white people. We talking to a specific one. Just because you listen to the music don't mean that you're not being complacent or you're not helping your racist family members. So white people, your folks created racism, so y'all got to get more involved in this situation. Y'all watching us constantly coming up to us, what can I do? What can I? Bruh, ask the people who started what they did and didn't do the opposite of that. You feel me? So when it comes to gentrification, it's not as simple as home ownership. Oh, buy your blocks. Bruh, I come from low income housing. It can't be purchased. I can't buy. I don't represent a home or a neighborhood. I represent a block that in a neighborhood that historically has projects. So that's also, it's not always as easy as y'all think. And in San Francisco, let's just say I did buy a home across the street from where I claim. them Victorians are starting at $1.5 million. I don't have that right now. I will have it, but realistically speaking, we all not gonna have $1.5 million to buy a home on the block. So let's the gentrification has got to stop, because what it's going to do is it's going to gut everything, and everybody's going to be displaced all over. And then when those people who have moved here are done, it's going to be vacancies, but the people who were once there are no longer going to want to come back. So we got to get in front of it.
Again, brother man, I appreciate you being on here. I appreciate the talk. Once again, go make sure you follow at GunnaGoesGlobal on Instagram. Make sure that you go stream the movie The Last Black Man in San Francisco, and make sure you run it up, watch it as many times over and over as you can. Make sure you go stream his music as well too. Once again, thank you for tuning in to the Lava Lounge, and I'll see you next episode.
Appreciate y'all.
Yo, what's good? It's Jeronimo Davis from the Lava Lounge, and this week's musical guest is LOE Gino. Gino, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me, bro.
So Gino, tell everybody a little bit about where you're from, how you got started in music.
I'm from Berkeley, California in the Bay. Got started in music like real young. My mom passed away when I was 10, but like right before she passed away, she got me heavy into like poetry. And poems wasn't cool enough, so I just started like writing raps.
And just to ask a little bit more about your poetry, what when you wrote poetry, what did you write about?
Just like reflection, shit that I was like feeling, at the time, things that I think about, like the way I, view the world, whatever, stuff like that. And then eventually turning them into melodies and cadences and songs.
Okay, for sure. So I want to highlight, I brought you here today to do a song, Passing Trees. It's on your new album, Growing Pains. Make sure you're streaming that. It's on all platforms. This album features Nefta Pharaoh, Rex Life Raj, Lil B. So I want to go ahead and get some information on what was your inspiration behind this record.
Passing Trees, it was produced by Garza. So I was on tour in November, and it was like a dope ass opportunity. But like probably like 2 months before that, I wasn't able to write. Like I was in like insane writer's block. And so I think we was on our way to like Washington or something like that, Seattle. And I had got a call about my cousin passing away. My cousin passed away, and he was like a D1 prospect. He passed away from cancer.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm just like, man, bro, I'm like in this good ass opportunity, in this good ass situation, and I feel like I've been taking like everything that I've been doing for granted. And I just sat there and I was listening to that beat over and over and over, and I had to put something down. Like, and I basically listened to it until I was able to write. And the inspiration was just like, let's just not take like what I'm doing for granted, because people time be short. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure, man. And that's one of the reasons I love the record. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you perform it on the show. So make sure you watch the performance of Passing Trees, and make sure you follow LOE.Gino at LOE.Gino on Instagram and all platforms. Make sure you watch his videos and everything like that. And tune in for the next episode. Peace.
Peace.
Man, it's a public announcement for y'all bitch ass niggas. Speaking on hello, thinking I'm alone. Anybody want some pounds and get
Staring out my window, watching trees pass. Niggas soft as bean bags, writing music on the bus. Never had no free pass. Niggas rap like beat rap. Pussy niggas need pads. Always taught to think fast. You not first, you gon' be last.
Oh my God, I'm so inert. Extroverted, introvert. Know the time going up. They not fucking with my vert. Put a rapper on a shirt. In the trenches, Goonies lurk. Berkeley till I leave this earth. Loyal till I'm in the dirt. I don't plan to see no ceilings. Over Jaden, I play the villain. Always feel like something missing. Money, how I fix that feeling. Laying back and never chilling. People know the envy in them. Watching people stay the same. You fucking right, I'm changing, nigga. I don't plan to take no breaks. The interactions say I'm great. 5 shows in September. Put the loaf up in my safe. The shit I wanted taking shape. Don't let them tell you that you can't. Take your losses on the chin. Lace your boots and make it shake.
Staring out my window, watching trees pass. Niggas soft as bean bags. Writing music on the bus. Never had no free pass. Niggas rap like beat rap. Pussy niggas need pads. Always taught to think fast. You not first, you gon' be last.
finally go to Chick-fil-A.
Finally go to Chick-fil-A,
You know,
guys.
they did rebrand and they finally support
Can we
the
just go to
LGBTQ community. So
Really just
it's finally politically correct to
Number
go
one,
to Chick-fil-A. You know what I'm saying?
I live a life so out of touch and I cannot control it. The only thing I know is make the most of every moment. The only thing I want is balance with a lot of focus. Be hella anxious, I'll probably kill me if I ever blow it. A stress eater had me mad, they closed fast lights. Cause fast lights had out of town, bitches mad hype. In Amsterdam on 8th Street, that was a bad vice. Completion 9, Bennett tell me I'm on my last
Staring
life.
out my window, watching trees pass. Niggas soft as bean bags. Writing music on the bus. Never had no free pass. Niggas rap like beat rap. Pussy niggas need pads. Always taught to think fast. You not first, you gon' be last.
We ain't doing no half step, we full stepping out.
Stepping in this bitch.
Straight slapping and clapping.